if you call somebody, so first of all, this verbiage, this is my kind of pet peeve. When you kind of understand it, it makes sense. I never want to say following up, just following up or checking in. That's what every single buddy does in the very beginning. You instantly submit yourself to being submissive, that you're not checking in, you're trying to close the freaking deal, be honest. Like, checking in, like, yeah, man, like, things are good, like, kids are good, like, like, what are you checking in? Like, you're not checking in. So, like, you can say that, but as soon as we're human, human nature for us to hear that is to instantly go, that person has nothing for me. The only way that they have something for me is if I had something for them, and I don't yet. So if you say checking or touching base, at any point, you will find that that kind of stifles the conversation, unless they have something for you. But chances are, they're living their life, they haven't gotten their quote yet, whatever the case is. My favorite voicemail is to leave a very concise one, especially on this first one, and I use the word, have some updates for you. Everybody is kind of curious about what updates. What does that mean, right? You don't want to do the job, like things changed, price went up, price went down. Like, you will get a high response rate on updates. Be prepared to talk about that. My favorite thing update-wise, talk about scheduling. Hey, David, when I came with you yesterday, I said I could get the job done on the 21st. Just want to let you know that my first availability is actually on the 22nd. I had somebody moving in that spot after your quote. I love updates about dates. Dates is my favorite thing to kind of go for that. Because if you don't have an update, people are going to feel a little bit lied to. But genuinely, dates right now, scheduling, especially with your dispatch team, is going to be a great way to have conversation around that. Hey, Gio, this is Alex from Madewell Concrete. I have some updates for you. Please give me a call back. Leave your number. Like, what does that mean? He didn't try to sell me. He's not checking in. He has an update for me. One of my favorite things to do. So if you've never had to leave a powerful voicemail, or if you don't get called back from voicemail, they don't need anything from you. Be very careful making assumptions. Who has the information? The customer. So there's probably a better chance to gather information first, because it's not wrong to be prepared for that, but your preparation on that, you're already ready for. You're already thinking how to think. So we just don't want to make decisions. If someone is not, by the way, someone is not ghosting you or giving you middle response because you shouldn't automatically assume it's a price thing. Like you can, it's okay to assume that, but don't let that be your kind of like, sword in the rock where you're just like, man, like the only reason, if I just got this guy a better deal, he would call me. Like, what if it's actually not that? Like, he's just unsure. Like, I don't know if this is the right thing for my house. Like, I don't know if the driveway really needs it. Like, be very, very careful about leading yourself into convincing yourself that the only way I can get this deal is sales. Because a lot of customers that don't use us and don't get it done in general want it out of the job if it was half the cost. Please, please do not let lack of response or lack of minimal response be an indicator of how likely you are to earn their business. People are busy, they're thinking about it. And let's be honest, if you didn't have an answer to, you would be the same way. So stay true to your task. There is a little bit on negotiation verbiage that I want to just kind of give you guys some ideas about that'll make you feel very confident around it. Because again, we're going to be constantly talking about price. One of the words that I want you to use is the word blessing. I kind of developed that accidentally, but I really love it. It makes me feel very confident. But it actually is very harmless to customers. As you guys are working deals and deal requests, you need to be bringing your best possible deal to your regionals to the best of your degree, right? Like you being at 10,000 and them having a price at 8,500 and like, hey, they'll do it at 8,500. Like, of course they would. Like, remember the legitimacy of that quote, all that stuff. So one of the things that you guys can do on your own is bring that bar up, that price up on your own. And there's a pretty safe way to do that. In fact, you can use this with a lot of your terminology. So it's the word blessing. So if someone says, hey, like, it gives you kind of a ridiculous low price. Like, I'm not saying 10,000 versus doing it for 9,900. I'm like, maybe consider more than 10 to 15% off, like, your price that you give them. First of all, your initial price, you should be very confident behind. You should not elude that there's a discount option. Like, you really are trying to put your best foot forward. We internally can look at our numbers and where we're at and what we need, but like, that's why we want to have that backboard that you guys have with your regionals and production team to really understand what we need at different times, okay? So you call a customer and like, hey, like Alex, like, yeah, I mean, I'd love to use you, but my budget's 8,500. Let's say I like to use a 10,000, 8,500. That's a pretty big gap. Like, it's probably unlikely that we're going to be able to do that job, right? You should kind of have a good range with your regional, like for what you can, obviously entertain and obviously talk through. But when you kind of get that lower price, the best thing I can do is initially respond to the customer, not like, hey, let me check. As soon as you take that control out of it, initially, they feel like you don't have any value to them. Well, like, Ross isn't the guy making the call. Like, he's got to talk with somebody else. Like, I want to talk with the guy that makes the decision. So don't portray that you have very little control over the situation. What you can portray to the customer is that you are actually on their side, really, and because you really are. It's kind of me and Mr. Customer, teaming up to really with Madewell, right? It's not customer versus you versus Madewell. So the illusion, kind of like you're the real estate agent, right? So when you get the scenario that say, hey, like David, like that's a very low price. That's impossible. Say, I'm not. It's very, very unlikely I'm going to be able to get that done. I think you know that. However, I like you. I want to earn your business. I want to work with you. What number above 8,500? So like actually let them use that anchor to their disadvantage, but to your advantage. What number above 8,500 would I have your blessing at to go try to get it done for you? Right? So they anchored low, and you're not going and ask for a deal request 8,500. Like what number above 8,500 can I go and fight for you for? I will try to get 8,500 done, but I just need to know what your number I would have your blessing at. Blessings sounds very safe. They feel like they're going to give you permission, and they're going to go, well, honestly, I was thinking closer to like 9, maybe like 9,200 or something like that. They're automatically going to talk themselves up. And if they go 8,500 best and final, we consider at that point, but at least you know where they stand, right? You're okay getting best and final, right? Alex, like, I really want to work with you. See if you can get like close to 9,000 done. Okay, close to 9,000. So I have your blessing, I have your permission that if I can get somewhere close to 9,000, that I'm your guy, right? We can get things done, we can be out there, and we can have to complete your project. That's right? Get that from them. So I just want to give you guys some good terminology to not just take the initial response as like, oh, this is what I got to come back with, or what I got to go fight for. Like, let that be that anchors themselves. And hey, David, like, man, 8,500, dude, if I can, it seems very impossible. Like, I just want to let you know, like, I don't think you want $8,500 worth of quality. I don't think you're going to be happy with that. However, I want to try to get you a better deal. A deal gets made when customers feel like they've gotten the best deal possible. At the end of the day, when customers feel like they've gotten the best deal possible, that's when they say yes. What number above 8,500 that could I have your blessing at that I can try and go fight for? Like, I know I can't do that, but give me a number that I can go fight for you for. I'm going to do my best. And then they feel like they're like, hey, man, like, do your best, right? Do your best, Jason. Like, okay, like, if you can get close to 9, maybe a little above it, like, really 9,200, like, all right. And whatever they say is their highest, like, go with that. All right, so, like, 9,200. Like, if I can get to 9,200, like, I'm gonna get back to you very quickly. My manager, I hope he's in a good mood. I'm going to get back to you 9,200. I don't know what's happened, but, I mean, I've gained your blessing on that, and I'll try to bring you back good news. If he gives me a rebuttal, like, I will let you know. Like, I make no promises, but I'm going to do my best, right? And then, hey, like, Ben, like, I got this guy, like, he's this, like, here's the margin, and then, he can help you evaluate what to do at different times of the year. But we went from 8,500 to just being like, no, and 8,500, and then no matter what we counter at, he's going to feel like that's not as good a deal, right? He's like, well, like, now he's at 9,200, he wants to split the difference, and so he's already committed that 9,200 is the number he's giving your blessing at. He feels good about that because he's the one that's granted that permission. So something I've just kind of developed over time, that terminology that I really like, because we want you bringing deals that are the best possible, that you've already done the legwork on the front end, not just bringing a low-ball deal because you didn't have a chance to respond. You only get one really good chance to respond, and we don't want to play these yo-yo games with customers. Okay, tell him 9,800, then he's at 8,600. Like, hey, just, David, what number do I have your blessing at? People can take you up very slightly. You have to kind of reiterate, like, hey, man, like, like, I don't want to look stupid to my manager, man. Like, that's only coming up a few. So, hey, what number above that, maybe if you can get it to start with a 9 in front of it, could I have your blessing at that number? I want to go to bat, but I don't want to play yo-yo games. You don't want yo-yo games. Like, let me go to bat for you. Would I have your blessing if I could get it close to 9,000? Yeah, I mean, like, do your best. And so, like, he's already committed to that. So, again, what number I could do best for you? A lot of customers are going to come to you and say, well, do your best. So when everybody says, hey, man, do your best, reset it, and then that's when the word blessing becomes very powerful because now they actually get to grant you permission to do something. So man, like, hey, just come with your best number. Hey, I've already done that. That's what the 10,000 was, okay? But you're saying 8,500, that's impossible. I can't do that. You don't want 80, you would, if I gave you $8,500 for the quality and job, you're not gonna be happy. Then we're both in a tough spot. So what number above that, David, do I have your blessing at to try to get this job done for you? It may not happen, but if it doesn't work for us, we're gonna say no. If it doesn't work for you, we're not gonna be able to work together. Let's not use our leverage against each other. What number above 8,500 do I have your blessing at? If he wants to work with you, he's gonna come up. Chances are he will. He's anchoring low because in his mind, he's extremely happy to get it 9,200. That's a win for him. 8,500 is a really good win. 9,200, he's already happy with that. He feels like he won.